Keir Starmer has resigned this morning as Prime Minister of the UK, and if you think things are bad now, I think they're about to get a whole lot worse. My biggest problem with Starmer was never that he was uniquely incompetent. It's that he was trying to govern in an era where voters increasingly expect instant results from politics. I think he did some parts of the job reasonably well, particularly in his reluctance to get Britain dragged further into the chaos of the Middle East, or whatever foreign policy bullshit that Donald Trump happened to be demanding that week. But he also did a shitload of bad during his tenure, especially regarding the civil liberties of citizens, especially in regards to digital ID and facial recognition cameras. The problem is that being good at governing and being good at politics are not the same thing. Starmer often felt like somebody who would have made an excellent civil servant or a cabinet minister, but struggled with the part of the job that requires inspiring people, communicating a vision, and cutting through the noise. What worries me is that we've started treating politics like a subscription service. If the country isn't visibly transformed within a year or two, we immediately start looking for a replacement. After 14 years of Conservative government, people wanted lower living costs, better public services, more housing, economic growth, infrastructure investment, shorter waiting lists, and stronger communities. Those are all reasonable things to want and to still want. The problem is that none of those things happen overnight. The issues facing Britain were decades in the making, yet politicians increasingly are judged on whether they can solve them within the attention span of a TikTok video. The irony is that after the Conservatives, everyone said they wanted a return to grown-up politics. They wanted competence, they wanted stability, they wanted boring, and then they got boring and discovered that boring is boring. It feels like a large section of the voter base wants somebody who can dominate headlines, who can create enemies, generate viral moments, and make politics feel emotionally satisfying. That's why figures like Nigel Farage and Donald Trump thrive. Their appeal isn't necessarily that they have better solutions, but that they can create the feeling of momentum, certainty, and conflict the way a traditional politician can't. And I think the deeper problem is that British politics is trapped between two completely contradictory demands. People want world-class public services. They want major infrastructure projects, strong pensions, better healthcare, better schools, and investment across the country. But at the same time, there is enormous resistance to the taxes, spending decisions, and trade-offs required to pay for those things. Politicians rarely speak honestly about this because honesty is electorally dangerous. So instead, we get endless promises around the edges, symbolic announcements, photo opportunities, and small policy tweaks that avoid the difficult conversation. And that's why whoever replaces Starmer will inherit many of the exact same problems. The leadership race will dominate the headlines for months, but housing will still be expensive, public services will still be under pressure, infrastructure will still need investment, and productivity will still need improving. The UK's problems don't reset every time a new person walks through the door of number 10. Britain doesn't have a leadership problem, it has an expectations problem. Until we're willing to have a more honest conversation about what we want, what we're willing to pay for, and what trade-offs we're prepared to accept, every new Prime Minister will become the next disappointment.